He was born with no magic but goes to the Magic Academy and becomes strongest by maxing out his strength. And with that, let's begin the story. The snake, looking down, addresses someone named Attilian and apologizes. The sun's rays are obstructed by the lush leaves as a voice calls out for Attilian. Attilian, sleeping in the shade, opens one eye, scolding the disturber for interrupting his meditation. Urgently, the newcomer informs Attilian of nefarious individuals surrounding the master in the mansion. Attilian queries the messenger and demands to know who is threatening the grandpa. A large group, some mounted on horses, approaches the gates of a grand mansion, met with inquiry from within. A man with long blonde hair, astride a horse, shoots an irritated glance. He questions the person barring their entry, inquiring if he is Aiden and in charge. A trembling Aiden identifies himself and asks the blonde's purpose. Sinister expressions are exchanged within the group. The blonde presents Aiden with a parchment, proclaiming himself as Orlando of the Mozhan family, there to claim territory. Aiden's shock is evident as he disputes Orlando's claim, asserting the domain belongs to Attilian Byrne. Orlando extends his arm, displaying the contract, citing Byrne's death and an unpaid debt settled with the territory. Aiden and two others from the mansion exchange bewildered glances as Aiden vows to contest the deed in court. Visibly angered, Orlando shouts at Aiden to leave, declaring himself an apprentice mage beyond the court's authority, while yanking the horse's reins and lifting its front hooves threateningly. Aiden instinctively shields his face as a fat child beside him screams in terror. Someone intervenes, seizing the horse's paw. Orlando's expression shifts to surprise as he notices the newcomer. It's Attilian, his fist clenched, pushing the horse back with authority. Fury overtakes Attilian's face as he denounces Orlando's actions as outrageous. Orlando's horror is evident as he opens his mouth in disbelief. Attilian prepares to strike, confronting Orlando for emboldening reckless behavior in his domain. With a mighty blow, Attilian strikes the horse's neck. He forcefully brings the horse to the ground, commanding silence. The horse lies still, its breath knocked out of it. Orlando leaps down, demanding to know Attilian's identity. Attilian looms over Orlando, his gaze unwavering. Attilian instructs the overweight child, named Faye, to escort Aiden to safety, which Faye complies with, while Aiden warns Attilian to be cautious. Standing firm, Attilian faces Orlando and his cohorts, as Orlando points accusingly, recognizing Attilian as the son of Mage Byrne. Laughing mockingly, Orlando taunts Attilian, deriding him as lacking in magical prowess. He brandishes a wand, labeling Attilian a brute for attacking an apprentice mage, vowing to teach him a lesson. Attilian maintains his steady gaze, responding with a simple good. Aiden and Faye watch in terror as Attilian expresses curiosity about magic. Orlando, seething with anger, accuses Attilian of arrogance. With a flick of his wand, Orlando murmurs an incantation, causing its tip to illuminate. Attilian's eyes widen in astonishment as he continues to gaze intently. Orlando chants the spell resounding flash, wielding his wand as a bolt of lightning bursts forth. The lightning strikes Attilian, propelling him backward with tremendous force. Aiden and Faye cry out in concern, their voices overlapping as they call for Attilian. Attilian crashes to the ground, the impact reverberating. Still holding his raised wand, Orlando emits a sinister laugh. Concern etches the faces of two other mansion servants. Grinning, Orlando remarks that such is the consequence of defying a mage. Faye's scream echoes, pleading for Attilian. Attilian, sprawled on his back, murmurs that he now understands. Orlando is taken aback by Attilian's words. Attilian gazes at his charred chest, noting the intense pain, estimating he's operating at 60% to 70% of his full strength. Faye, the chubby child, beams with relief at Attilian's apparent recovery. Attilian, now standing, notes Orlando's surprising magical strength despite his appearance, warning him to leave due to his own vulnerability. Orlando bellows in fury at Attilian's perceived blasphemy against magic, flecks of saliva flying from his mouth. Once more, Orlando raises his wand, vowing Attilian's demise. But before Orlando can cast another spell, Attilian swiftly closes the distance and delivers a punch. Startled, a hooded figure nearby shares in the shock. Attilian's punch connects with Orlando's face. The impact sends Orlando sprawling to the ground. The hooded figure raises a hand, casting a spell to halt Attilian's attack. Attilian whirls around, taken aback by the sudden intervention. The magical assault strikes Attilian's abdomen, forcing him backward, blood spewing from his mouth. He slams into the wall with a sickening thud. Attilian coughs up more blood, the impact taking its toll. Aiden and Faye, once again gripped by panic, witness the scene unfold. The hooded figure kneels beside Orlando, employing magic to heal his wounds. One of their companions urges another to fetch the medical kit urgently. Orlando's face mirrors terror, his mouth agape, words failing him. Despite his condition, the hooded figure inquires about Orlando's well-being, receiving only coughs in response. Aiden suddenly collapses, prompting a frantic cry from Faye. Attilian is thrust against the wall, his expression twisted in terror. Trembling, Attilian questions the nature of the attack, pondering if it truly embodies the essence of magic. His gaze shifts to the hooded figure who attacked him, their back turned. The hooded figure removes their cloak, facing Attilian directly, and elucidates that true magical power transcends mere physicality, residing within like an expansive sea. Attilian struggles to rise from the ground, urging his unconscious grandfather to awaken. Meanwhile, Faye cradles Aiden, reassuring him that Attilian still lives. With the hood discarded, revealing scars upon the face, the antagonist laments the disrupted plans for a simple territorial handover, now necessitating the eradication of resistance. Attilian, barely standing, confronts the villain, demanding to know their identity. The villain identifies himself as the mage, Nexen's aide. Attilian is struck with shock upon realizing the true extent of magical power wielded by Nexen. Nexen raises his hand, his voice booming, and unleashes the spell Flame Burst, his palm ablaze with magical energy. Attilian braces himself for impact, crossing his arms defensively. Nexen berates Attilian for his futile attempt at defense, while Aiden watches on with concern. The fiery magic engulfs Attilian, propelling him backwards. Attilian is slammed into the wall, still maintaining his defensive posture. Struggling to withstand the onslaught, Attilian cries out in defiance. Nexen halts his magical assault, causing a tumultuous outburst that fills the air with sand and dust. Something catches Nexen's attention, causing him to look startled. Despite the ferocity of the attack, Attilian remains standing, though his hands bear the marks of scorching. With determination blazing in his eyes, Attilian declares it's his turn to retaliate. Nexen, shaken yet impressed by Attilian's resilience, raises both hands, warning Attilian of the consequences of his defiance. But before Nexen can cast his spell, Attilian springs forward, aiming a swift kick at him. Reacting swiftly, Nexen erects a magical shield to block Attilian's attack. Attilian's kick connects with the shield, its force repelled. With one hand maintaining the shield, Nexen casts another spell, enveloping Attilian in a blinding flash of light and flames. Once again, Attilian is hurled backward, crashing into the wall. Nexen stands motionless, his gaze fixed ahead. He notices a cut on his cheek, a single drop of blood trailing down. Meanwhile, Attilian grabs a boulder, pulls himself up, and tells Nexen his move is futile, silently acknowledging his injuries and the challenge of defending against the mage's assaults. Seeing Attilian stand up again, Nexen is shocked as he wonders how can human muscle achieve this level. He then ponders if the rumor he heard might be true. Watching from the side, Aiden worriedly tells Attilian to not fight further and suggests they surrender the territory. Attilian reassures Aiden not to worry, claiming he's found a way to defeat their enemies. A broken chain lies on the ground nearby. Orlando, still supine, lifts his head slightly, urging Nexen not to show mercy. Nexen assures Orlando, vowing to make the Mozhan family pay, preparing to unleash more spells. He contemplates the rumor and concludes that it's best not to leave Attilian alive. Without hesitation, Attilian charges at Nexen, determined to strike first and prevent him from casting spells. He launches a barrage of punches at Nexen. Nexen, taken aback, mutters incomprehensible at Attilian's relentless assault. Reacting swiftly, Nexen conjures a shield as Attilian closes in with his fists. Attilian's punches rain down on the shield with full force. Nexen shouts from behind the shield, taunting Attilian that brute force cannot penetrate his magical barrier. Faye and Aiden cry out Attilian's name, looking worried. Joined by two other mansion members, they encourage Attilian to keep fighting. Tears welling in his eyes, Faye implores Attilian to defeat the mage, while Aiden watches with concern. Meanwhile, Nexen, visibly angered, declares he's been too lenient and vows to end the farce, conjuring another spell. A golden, circular disc materializes above Nexen's hand, recognized by Orlando as the secret magic. Orlando lifts his upper body, commanding Nexen to eliminate Attilian and his allies. Suddenly, a thick, long chain appears seemingly out of nowhere. The chain loops around Orlando's neck, catching him by surprise. Attilian holds the other end of the chain in his hand. With a determined pull, Attilian yanks the chain, dragging Orlando along, as Nexen shouts in alarm. Nexen catches Orlando with both hands, causing the shield to vanish. Seizing the opportunity, Attilian advances toward Nexen. Nexen is left dumbfounded by Attilian's sudden and unexpected attack. Nexen, caught off guard, fails to react in time, and Attilian's punch lands squarely in his stomach. Gasping for breath, Nexen coughs up blood in the aftermath of the blow, still seething with anger. Meanwhile, Attilian continues to tighten the chains around Nexen's throat, refusing to relent. Despite his dire situation, Nexen, struggling to breathe, prepares to unleash his ultimate technique. Attilian, with a menacing gaze, questions Nexen about the consequences of his violent actions and whether he's considered the repercussions of harming innocent lives. Observing Attilian's actions, Orlando can only conclude that Attilian has descended into madness. Attilian intensifies the pressure on the chains, commanding Nexen to meet his demise. Suddenly, Nexen raises a hand and casts a soul-locking will on Attilian, encasing his neck in a glowing magical disc. Caught off guard, Attilian exclaims in surprise at the sudden appearance of the disc. Meanwhile, Nexen emits a hollow, sinister laugh. Attilian's fury escalates, his face and eyes burning red with rage. With a thunderous roar, he hoists Nexen off the ground, pulling the chains around his neck even tighter. Onlookers are stunned and bewildered by the spectacle unfolding before them. The magical disc around Attilian vanishes, releasing the chains. Attilian watches as Nexon's lifeless body, still entwined with the chains, falls to the ground. Attilian emerges as the executioner of mages. Orlando looks up in absolute shock, mouth agape, horror etched on his face. The followers of Orlando drop their swords and surrender, pleading for mercy. Seeing his followers surrender, Orlando becomes enraged, shouting at them, branding them traitors. He berates them for not comprehending the gravity of the situation by merely surrendering. Orlando declares it's all over, threatening death for everyone. He reminds them of the severe punishment by the Magical Alliance for disrespecting mages. The thugs tremble in terror at his words. Even Attilian's people appear shocked, one asking Attilian what they should do. Suddenly, a guard from the tower above points out something approaching. In the distance, a figure draws closer to the mansion. Attilian and the others fix their gaze on the newcomer. It's someone riding a horse, galloping toward the mansion. Faye and Aiden also watch the approaching figure intently. The horse halts as it nears them all. A lady with blonde hair is seated atop the horse. She surveys the surroundings, spotting Nexon's lifeless body and the dead horse. Orlando, still prone on the ground, gazes up at the lady. The lady remarks that she might be a little late. Orlando stares at her, recognizing the emblem she wears as that of the Rhine Academy. He pleads with the lady, asking if she's also an apprentice mage and begging for her help. Orlando's thugs are astounded at hearing this. The lady dismounts from the horse, landing gracefully on the ground. Orlando crawls toward the lady, identifying himself as an apprentice mage of the Mosin clan, accusing Attilian and the villagers of grave crimes. He promises the lady generous rewards if she saves him. Instead of listening to Orlando, the lady reaches out to Attilian, showing concern for his injuries. Orlando is thunderstruck, mouth agape, seeing Isabella close to Attilian. Isabella touches Attilian's cheek, expressing pity for his injuries caused by the enemies. She remarks on the seriousness of killing a mage, gesturing towards the dead Nexon. Isabella suggests killing the other thugs to silence them, but they plead for mercy, surrendering. Attilian intervenes, stating they won't have to kill anyone else as the situation hasn't reached that point of no return. He explains the consequences of further violence, refusing to endanger the territory's people or involve Isabella and her family. Impressed, Isabella acknowledges Attilian's thoughtful approach. The villagers look puzzled by the exchange. Attilian proposes resolving the conflict through the upcoming kingdom's triennial mage apprentice grand examination. Faye, Aiden, and the thugs react with surprise to the idea. Attilian declares his intention to become a mage and settle the conflict through a mage duel. Faye suggests that a duel between mages could alter the conflict's nature. Aiden, looking uncertain, reminds Attilian of his inability to practice magic due to his constitution. Orlando is incredulous at Attilian's idea of becoming a mage, having always believed Attilian lacked magical aptitude. However, Attilian, displaying determination, asserts that his lifelong desire to become a mage has driven him to train extensively. Isabella, Faye, and Aiden react with awe, impressed by Attilian's unwavering determination. Isabella smiles, expressing her belief in Attilian's abilities and his capacity to achieve his goals. Faye loudly declares his faith in Attilian as well. Encouraged by the villagers' supportive words, Attilian is urged to pursue his aspirations. Meanwhile, the thugs were expressions of dismay. Orlando dismisses Attilian and the others as mad, considering their lack of magical abilities. Attilian glares at the thugs, ordering them to take Orlando and leave, and to inform the Mosin clan that he can defeat a mage with his fists. Grateful, the thugs agree to depart, carrying Orlando away on one's back. Attilian remains resolute in his decision to become a mage. He reflects on his childhood, recalling an incident where he was mocked and attacked by other children who labeled him the child of a snake demon. Furious, young Attilian defended his mother's honor by striking back at his tormentors. Fueled by a deep sense of indignation, he lunges for the mouth of the offending child, threatening to smash it. The other children recoil in terror, fearing the demon's child will cause harm. Attilian lands another punch, vehemently rejecting the label and demanding they stop. From childhood, Attilian has endured being called the child of a snake demon because his parents vanished soon after his birth. Riding on his grandfather's back, Attilian questions if he truly is a demon's child. Aiden reassures Attilian, dismissing the notion as nonsense, and assures him his parents were extraordinary individuals. Attilian probes further, questioning why they abandoned him, to which Aiden suggests they may have had no choice. Once, Attilian encountered a peculiar mage from the east. Angrily, Attilian challenges the bald mage, declaring his readiness to fight despite his youth. The monk mage pacifies Attilian, stating he means no harm and emphasizing his aversion to conflict as a monk. The monk asserts that his words are based on first-hand observation, but Attilian clenches his fists, warning the monk against speaking nonsense. The monk explains that in the distant east lies Lyrian City, the mage capital, with the Rafa Tower at its center. The monk recounts the legend of a suppressed snake demon beneath Rafa Tower for a millennium, rumored to have offspring hiding in the Cloud March continent. Attilian dismisses these tales as mere rumors. The monk challenges Attilian, questioning why he can't wield magic if he is the child of a renowned mage. He encourages Attilian to delve into his heritage if he's curious. Attilian realizes his purpose in that moment. Now, in the present, Attilian bids farewell to Aiden and the villagers, who wave back, wishing him well as he and Isabella depart. As their horses gallop away, Attilian reveals his plan to uncover his heritage and become a mage. He believes becoming a mage is essential for him to freely explore the worlds. Isabella interrupts, pointing out something ahead. Before them stands a grand city atop a hill, Lyrian City, home to the Mage Academy. In this world, magic reigns supreme, and all authority, nobility, and armies depend on mages for strength and support. Mages are trained and inherited through the 4 major magic academies, with Isabella and Attilian now at the Lyrian Hyde Magic Academy. The Mage Apprentice exam occurs once every 3 years, aligning perfectly with Attilian's timing this year. Most aspiring apprentice candidates have already mastered a few basic magics, with many displaying outstanding talent. Some candidates even come from dark and secretive backgrounds, seeking to cleanse their identities through magehood. Despite the abundance of candidates, the passing rate for mage apprentices is notoriously low. Stringent standards and a 4-round examination process contribute to the low pass rate. The first round consists of a written exam on magical knowledge. Attilian currently sits in the exam hall, garnering stares for his remarkable physique. Suddenly, Attilian looks up, catching the invigilator's attention. Standing up, Attilian approaches the invigilator, surprising him. Attilian hands in his exam papers, prompting the invigilator to instruct him to place them on the desk. The invigilator directs Attilian to proceed to the waiting area for the results. As Attilian exits the exam hall, the invigilator wonders how he finished the exam so quickly. After some time, the resounding chime of a bell fills the air. Inside the hall, candidates panic upon hearing the bell, realizing the results of the written exam are imminent, and rush to the announcement hall. Their attention is drawn to the announcement wall, which begins to reveal the results, accompanied by the triumphant toll of the wisdom bell, signifying a new record-breaking achievement. The result is finally out, but it's in the form of sacred glyph text. Turns out, because the magical literacy of most candidates is insufficient, they are unable to read the ranking list. Those who can read the results see that Attilian has ranked first place and broken the written exam record, which he claims he had expected. Attilian reveals that because he is unable to cast spells, he spent most of his time in the kingdom's library reading all the books related to mages. One of the exam candidates, near Attilian, gets pissed at Attilian and calls him arrogant. Attilian hears the comment made by that candidate and turns to him, asking if he has any problems. Intimidated by Attilian's size, the dude gets scared and says he meant to congratulate Attilian. Isabella grabs Attilian's arm, suggesting they head to the second exam site, while the individual who earlier called Attilian arrogant asserts that he doesn't seem like a top performer regardless. In the examiner's office, Yuji, the chief examiner, is staring out of the window when someone enters the room and calls him. Yuji turns towards the newcomer and asks him if he is there for the bell as well and says he will be disappointed. After Yuji explains that the candidate with the highest score is actually a muggle, the other person is shocked to hear that. The other man expresses sadness, revealing his long-held belief that their mage examination system is outdated. But Yuji reassures him, stating that the second test will eliminate all unworthy candidates. The second test involves the examinee standing in the center of the platform of trials, and the test will begin as the platform will generate a formidable magical pressure. The examinee needs to fully utilize their magical power to resist the external pressure. As the pressure increases, the magical rings on the trial platform will light up one by one, forming a closed loop when all are lit up, indicating the examinee's success. Attilian and Isabella walk towards the platform of trials as Isabella asks Attilian if he has figured out a strategy for the second test. However, Attilian says he hasn't thought of anything and is ready to face whatever lies ahead. At the second test site, an old man in glasses is sitting on a chair, a desk in front of him. He orders Attilian to halt. Attilian takes out his admission ticket and hands it over to the old man. But the old man says that won't work and tells Attilian to leave. Looking shocked, Attilian asks why. The old man replies to Attilian that he doesn't have any magical power and says he has enough experience to know the condition of examinees at a glance. However, Attilian explains that according to the examination regulations, Article 24, the eligibility for the second test is determined by first test results. The old man tells Attilian to not bother with useless things and says it's not worth for Attilian to gamble based on pure luck and chance. He then explains that each year, there are examinees who die on the platform for being mortal and says the trial is extremely serious and even those with magical aptitudes sometimes get injured or die. Once again, Attilian explains the Article 52 of the examination regulations which states examiners have to protect examinees, reminding the old man he possesses a duty and not power. Hearing this, the old man gets angry and shouts at Attilian, calling him a fool and asks if he wants to die. Yet again, Attilian explains that according to national law, Article 1731, Anyone obstructing mages and mage apprentice exams will bear criminal responsibility. Looking frustrated, the old man stands up and slams his hand on the desk. Isabella watches the incident, looking grim. The old man bellows out at Italian, calling him a brat and telling him to think it over, as he might not be able to submit an interruption request while on the test and end up dying. Regardless of the warning, Italian is fully determined to take the test.